Hey everyone, it's Chuck McAfee with the Level Up team in Atlanta, Georgia.
I'm Alexandra French.
I'm Jennifer Fleury.
I'm Brandon Opitz.
And we just wanted to kind of bring some information, kind of really just have a roundtable conversation. Really what we talk about on a daily basis and some of the questions that we're constantly hearing from some of our seller clients. And so we just wanted to kind of talk through some of those. As always, if we can ever help anything, you have any questions specifically, just reach out to us. But let's just dive right into this. If that's
Sounds good.
cool.
Yeah,
You got the first question.
One of the biggest thing that I'm hearing from all sellers right now, I know the market's a little crazy, but is if I'm going to sell right now, where am I going to go? Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, so that is hands down the hardest part. Being a seller right now is probably the lack of inventory on the move up buy. Right? Hey, I'm going to sell. Where am I going to buy? I want to either downsize or I want to move up to my next home. And yeah, it is challenging. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to pretend that we have this plethora of inventory out in the market right now. But we're doing deals every day, and we're fighting and finding ways to provide that solution. We've had to get a little bit more creative and kind of think outside the box a little bit. Yeah. A lot of times the scenario I have with a seller is, hey, Chuck, I have to sell in order to buy. Like, how am I going to navigate those waters when I don't really know where I'm going to go buy? There's some institutional solutions for that, right? So there's some companies out there that will help us go buy your next property. You stay in your current home. We then ultimately sell your current home and move into your new home. There's a little bit of cost to doing business for that, so there's definitely some money involved in that. But there's a solution there that we can provide from an institutional money standpoint. A lot of times, believe it or not, you have so much equity in your current home, we can leverage that on the purchase of the new home. We could work with a lender on a bridge loan, or again, going back to the equity scenario, we could take out some of that equity in your current home, buy the new one, and do what's called a recasting of the mortgage. I'm not going to try to get into all the details of what that looks like and how that operates. I guess what I'm trying to say is that there are creative solutions out there to navigate the challenges that we're faced with. We're working with a lot of off-market opportunities. We invest in a lot from a team perspective in technology and tools and way above, I think, our peers to find those off-market opportunities. And so don't be discouraged. There's places to go. I mean, knock on wood, I've never had a homeless seller or a homeless client. So we will find a solution, and we will help navigate kind of those challenges. Make sense? Anyone else?
Yeah, things that like some of my sellers are doing is we're getting their house on the market, and on the front end, we're saying, hey, we need 30 or 60 days post closing occupancy, and this is then giving our sellers the opportunity to then go ahead and find their new home, or if you have the ability to go into move in with like family or into an Airbnb in that interim, that's also been very beneficial.
I think building our network too. Like, we've got such a large network. We're talking to people daily, and I had one, we didn't win out on a home, but that listing agent and I worked so well together trying to get that deal that he recommended me to another listing agent that he knew was listing in that home. So I got an off-market deal just from building rapport with a listing agent.
Awesome. Yeah,
That's great.
So it's kind of who you know. It's kind of an old saying. So you kind of hit on it a little bit maybe, and yes, it's great to be a seller right now, right? So it's absolutely a seller's market. When you look at inventory levels, when we kind of nerd out on the real estate side and we talk about a month supply of inventory, anything below a 6-month supply of inventory is a seller's market. Well, we're below a 1 month in most of our metro Atlanta marketplace. And so it's absolutely a seller's market. But a lot of the things we're hearing is, well, hey, just go put a sign in the yard and it will sell. And yes, that may be true, but is it going to sell with 23 offers, or is it going to sell at ask or 100,000 over ask? And so, what's some of your recommendation for a seller to kind of just prepare the home for sale? One of the things we hear a lot about is like staging, for example. Like, what's your thoughts on staging, Brandon?
Well, for starters, if somebody's walking in a vacant home right now, you don't want that potential buyer to have to be imaginative to figure out what the home could look like. You want to paint that picture for them. You want to put furniture in there and show them exactly how nice that home could look. There's a couple of statistics that you could get from the National Association of Realtors. 91% of buyers' agents said that staging a home affects the buyer's view of the home. 85% of stage homes sold between 5 and 23% over the list price. And 52% of sellers agents say that staging a home increased the dollar amount offered on the home. So staging plays a critical role. Don't force your buyers to use their imagination and show what your home could look like. Let's stage it, and let's get more out of that. You're going to get a huge return on investment. It's roughly around 400% is what people are seeing on just investing in that staging. You'll get your money out of it.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So another thing I unfortunately see a lot with some of the listings is obviously very clearly done with like an iPhone or the photography is just kind of garbage. I don't know how else to describe it. What's your take on, anyone else's take on photography? And to me, that's kind of the basics.
That's my biggest pet peeve is when I see, iPhone photos and you see the person in the mirror in the bathroom. Part of our job when we're, being hired as the listing agent is to represent the house in the best way possible. Mm-hmm. And a major part of that is photography. I mean, as a team, we're making sure it's always professional photography, videos. We're including whether it's, floor plans
drone footage,
Matterport, whatever it's going to be. But when a buyer's looking for a house online, they say about 3 seconds. It's that you got that first impression. And if you're making a terrible first impression, they're going to skip over that home and they're never going to come back to it. Yeah. So photography is probably more important now than it ever has been before.
It's entirely what pulls them into the home. They're not going to come see the home if they look at a picture and think that this is not the home for them. Take those photos. It's worth spending the money on.
Yeah. So as a seller, do I need to even depersonalize, declutter? I mean, it sounds like people are just going to be lined up out the door. What's your thoughts on kind of the decluttering and that piece of it all?
Well, they're selling fast. Homes are, but families and people want to move into a home that they can see themselves living in. And if they're walking in and they see soccer schedules on their refrigerator, they're like, well, my kid doesn't play soccer, and it's just they're focusing on items that aren't related to the home. And you want them looking at the beautiful countertops and the finishes that you put on a home, not going home and saying, oh, they had 3 children and they're very busy, but they want to see maybe they could turn this room into an office, but there's too much they're looking at. It's drawing their attention away from making that home feel like something that could be theirs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One of the things that I don't know if a lot of people know about this, we probably need to communicate this better too, is when we're working with a seller, we're in this all day, every day, right? So we understand that, hey, you know what, if I recommend you paint this room, or if maybe a little bit of a renovation in this bathroom, or updating some of the fixtures that are kind of dated, we can provide you with the return on that, right? We can give you a pretty good estimate of doing a little bit of work is going to make you a lot more money. And in this marketplace, it's just going to make your home that much more attractive. I mean, everyone wants to kind of this turnkey property, but we have a great solution. We literally have great partners that we work with. We'll do a lot of the updating for you. You don't even have to pay for it until the closing table. So there's no out-of-pocket expense for some of this stuff. So you still have to go, would everyone agree, you still need to do it the right way to maximize your return and maximize the value that you're out there.
Yeah, a coat of paint on your walls makes it feel brand new, but some buyers just can't see past that. And so they're going to take $10,000 off the price because, it's not turnkey, but it could cost you $2,500, so you're making $7,500 on that.
And that coat of paint can be the difference between you getting 3 offers or getting 13 offers. Most buyers right now, they're lazy. They want turnkey. Mm-hmm. If they're putting all their money into these appraisal gaps or into their down payment, they may not necessarily have the funds to be able to go repaint the whole house, paint the cabinets, change the countertops. But if you as a seller are able to do that, and like Chuck mentioned, we have that concierge program where we can bring in the vendors, we can make this happen, we can add it to the settlement statement and closing. But we can make sure that you're netting more money as a seller because you're going to get more offers on your house. And it just gives buyers that opportunity to fully move right in.
Yeah, I guess to kind of wrap up this little question too is really comes, what I get a lot into is I'm kind of a finance guy by trade, is the numbers, right, and the pricing. So pricing is still super critical in this marketplace. Can we push pricing? Absolutely. Are we able to kind of drive that pricing up? Yes, but we got to make sure we're working together to really kind of hone in on what we think is ultimately the right number. It's hard, don't get me wrong. The way that financing and appraisals work, it looks at historical data, and that historical data is not catching up to real-time market conditions. But we'll give you that guidance. We'll help you on that guidance. And it's really just kind of managing expectations. Not every home gets 14 offers or 23 offers. A lot of that's very price point sensitive. But pricing the property is still a very, very critical component. And not only just getting it under contract, but actually getting it closed. We can sell houses all day. It doesn't matter, though, unless they actually close for our sellers and move on to the next chapter. So pricing to me is also still a very big component on what it takes to get your home sold in this marketplace. Real quick, just kind of wrapping this up, just a short little video today. Predictions from a seller's perspective going into 2022. What can a seller expect the remainder of this year? Brandon, I'm kind of looking at you. You go first.
Well, supply and demand is going to keep coming back to that because there's so many buyers out there and there's very few homes in inventory on the market, that if you're a seller right now, you're going to be able to get top dollar for that home, especially if you're doing all these other things that we just spoke about. Now is the time, if you're ever going to think about selling, I think it's one of the best times to do that.
Jennifer, anything different?
Yeah, home prices are going to continue to rise, and you're thinking, okay, maybe I wait, to see, if it's going to go up 10%, wait. But on the other side of that, buyer power is going down because their interest rates are going up, so you have less buyers in that pool, so less competition to buy your home. So you may not, you may have 10 offers now, where later you might have 3 because you don't have as many buyers that can afford your home.
Alex, any thoughts on what's the seller's market look like this year?
Yeah, like, I mean, as Jennifer Brandon said, I mean, right now it's definitely still a seller's market, but we have to still price the house correctly. If you do overprice it, the buyers are not going to come, or they're going to feel like they're insulting the sellers by putting a lowball offer. So price your home correctly, and then you may actually get multiple offers. And so just having that fluid conversation with your realtor about what pricing looks like and where you need to list at.
Kind of wrapping up, I'll mirror what everyone else said as far as pricing and I think where the market demand is going to continue to rise going into this year. I think from a seller's perspective, you have more options in front of you now than ever. We can go the traditional route that we've pretty much just talked through in this last few minutes. We can not go the traditional route. We can sell your home without ever going on the market, right? So if you wanted the easy, painless process, we have those solutions as well. So there's just a lot of different ways to do this nowadays, and so it's a great position to be in a seller, and so great opportunity to kind of take advantage of some of that stuff. So thank you guys so much for listening, and like always, if we could ever help with anything, give us a holler. We'll talk to y'all. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.